CM Punk.
Okay.
So CM Punk recently came back to WWE, kind of, and on the backstage show. You've worked with him a little bit before in 2012. So my question would be, what are your memories of working with him, and do you think he's going to come back, or are people just living in a dream world?
Well, first of all, I've known Punk since 2004 when I had a little nice little run with Ring of Honor. And I remember driving with Samoa Joe and Rocky Romero to the show that night in Chicago where Joe and Punk went an hour, right? And those were the two guys, more than anybody, that I went to bat for, Mr. McMahon. Sometimes I would get knocked for not pushing more guys, but I like to think that when I called Mr. McMahon, can't record. Okay, because here's the thing, like, the more of those cameras I see, the less honest I can be with all of you, okay? Because we may say things that criticize the company I used to work for, that my son still does work for, that I may want to work for again. And so even if there is video evidence, I'll just deny I said it, okay? There you go. But yeah, I went to bat heavily for those guys, and you know, Punk came in. I think what Punk had going for him, one of the things, aside from his talent, ability, his drive, his ambition, the two guys really pitching for him were me and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. So I like to think the fact that two guys with polar opposite wrestling styles were both like, you gotta check this guy out. I think that was part of the reason Punk got invited to OVW, which at the time was their training center, and Joe came aboard years later, but man, you know, those guys made me look good. I wish I could say I saw the Daniel Bryan thing. I didn't. I knew he was really good. I just didn't see him as a WWE guy, and I was wrong. Glad to admit I was wrong, but so I knew Punk pretty good. We always got along good, and when I was asked to come back in 2012, keep in mind it was like, I think April 2012, that I took the WWE Impact test, right? This is concussion testing. And I was aware, even as it was going on, that it was not going well for me. And so independent of WWE, I made an appointment with one of the top neurologists in the country. And then the next day, John Laurinaitis called me and goes, yeah, Mick, there's been an issue with your Impact test. And so independent of each other, two of the top neurologists in the country told me I could never wrestle again. So I was in a position where that had been taken away from me. You know, not that I count on wrestling much, but even the bright lights, computers bothered me. I couldn't ride roller coasters anymore. It was like simultaneously a lot of the things that I loved, I was unable to do. So when I was brought back in order to do this promo with CM Punk, I was having major short-term memory problems. And the fact that we turned in a couple of very memorable promos is really a credit to Phil, because he was able to bring out the best in me, especially when I was terrified. I was terrified. And I remember a writer came over with the promo, and Punk crumpled it up and threw it at his feet, said, this is awful. And one of the things he did not like about it was that he was supposed to be making fun of my weight, right? He was, oh, look at one of the Thanksgiving balloons drifted off and landed on Raw. And he was like, you're Mick Foley. He may have dropped an F-bomb there. He's like, I'll run you down, but I'm going to treat you with the respect you deserve. And then I brought up to him that after he had defeated John Cena, vaulted over the guardrail, took off into the crowd in Chicago, what should have been the biggest angle of the year had it not been messed up. See, that's why I can't have you film this. They messed that up, right? Oh, but you weren't alive at that point, were you?
He was 3.
But I remember texting him and saying, how does it feel to be the biggest star in the business? And within a minute, I got a text back. And so I addressed the whole relevancy issue by bringing that up, one of these things that everybody in the place can feel is true when you say it, and saying so as a person who is still very much relevant. And then we went into the promo, and it was such a big success that I was allowed to come back a second, I think, third time. And I remember it would have been so easy to just walk into that main event spot when John Cena got hurt, but I wasn't able to do it. I wasn't physically cleared to do it. I never would be physically cleared to do it. And so they had Ryback in that spot. And like 2 days before that cell match, I have my car loaded up. I got blankets, shirts, all kinds of things that I'm going to bring to a local shelter for people in need. And I'm at a stop sign. I get hit from behind. And as my head is hurtling towards the steering wheel, and I'm pretty sure there's going to be another concussion, I swear to you, the only thought in my mind was, I should have done that match with Punk. As long as you're going to get hurt, you should have been paid for it. But I loved it. I loved working with him. And I love people who bring out the best in others. That's one of the things that I tried to do when I was out there. And I think that's something that he probably did not get enough notice for.
Because he's a polarizing person
Yeah.
in terms of some people think that he's this asshole that doesn't like people, or some people think he's God. Like, you spent time with him. Do you think that he is someone who does love wrestling? Do you think he's someone who might want to come back? I mean, if you were a betting man on all your knowledge that you have, do you think CM Punk will wrestle again or not?
We all come back eventually. It's like Michael Corleone said, just when I think I'm out, they drag me back in. Like, we all come back eventually. I will say this about Punk. He's not a glass half full guy. He tends to look at the glass half empty. I am a glass half full guy. Like the cell match I had with The Undertaker, right? Been thrown off, not tossed.